Alright, today I'm going to be making this Nightwing mask in the video. I made this because it was requested in the comments by a subscriber. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, let's just get into the video. Alright, so to make this mask, the first thing you're going to need is a pattern. And I made my pattern by simply taking a plain white sheet of paper and just folding it in half. And this fold here represents the center of the mask. And I measured from the center of my nose to where my eye stopped, and I put a dot with a Sharpie at that distance, and I measured where my eye ended, and I put another dot a little bit past that distance. From that point, I had a reference to draw the eye hole and all the rest of the pattern. And then I just went ahead with the paper still folded, cut out my design. And what I end up with, whenever I open it up, of course, is the full pattern, as you can see here. Okay. I also did a second one that I use for a Jason Todd mask that goes underneath the Red Hood mask itself, based off the same concept. I've already made that mask as practice for this. And I'm also going to upload pictures of this to the Facebook page. So if you want, you can just download them and then you have them. Alright, now that you've got your pattern, you're going to want to trace it out onto some EVA foam. I am using 3mm thick EVA craft foam. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with a pair of scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the eyes themselves with an X-Acto knife. Alright, now that this is all cut out, the next thing I'm going to work on is I'm going to take my original pattern. You can see I've kind of roughly sketched out some lines here. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out because these are going to be accent pieces. They're going to go on the mask itself. First, as a practice and trial run for this, I made a Jason Todd Robin mask. I showed the pattern for that a little bit earlier. And what I did with this was, whenever I put it on, I noticed that the brow area was just a little bit lacking. So I already knew that was something that I wanted to beef up. I knew I wanted to put patterns on this, but I wasn't sure how. And after making this and looking at it, I've decided what I wanted to do, which is where this is coming in. And I'll show you here. This first piece that I cut out is going to end up sitting in the middle here. And then the next part that I'm going to cut out here these pieces will overlap on here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trace these out onto some EVA foam and cut them out. And for these accent pieces, once again, I will be using the 3mm EVA craft foam. Alright, I have all my pieces cut out here, and they all match up pretty good. I did make these slightly wider, just because whenever something curves over top of something, it tends to not quite have the length to make it all the way. And just extended that slightly, you may notice here. Just sticking out a little bit more on each side. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start heating and shaping and gluing all these pieces together. And I'm going to start with the base here, and I'm going to start heating this with the heat gun and shaping it so that it fits my face. Okay, so for heating and shaping the mask, I end up using, if it's something like this, as a guide, I will use a mannequin head. And the reason for this is, first of all, I can gradually shape this with my fingers, and to some extent I'm still going to have to, since this mannequin head is a little bit smaller than my actual head is. But one of the trickiest areas I found on doing the first one was the center. Because on the nose, not only does it curve this way, you'll notice it also curves this way here as well. And my advice is to start with the center and get this into its basic shape. You can use your fingers, or you can use a mannequin head or whatever. Just make sure that it actually fits your face right there. And then from this point, once you get this whole area here into shape, work from there out on each side. Just gradually start shaping it out so it fits your down over your cheeks and up on your forehead and everywhere else. I'm going to go ahead and do all this stuff off camera because it does take a rather long time. But we'll come back in a minute once I get it done and see how this looks. Okay, so I just heated this and I've been pressing it to the nose area here. And it's pretty much cooled now, so I feel like it should stay stiffly in shape. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. It has a pretty decent shape. Now, these mannequin heads, I got this one at a craft store, and I got this square base and glued it onto it, but this mannequin head itself is about $10. So, yeah, it's 10 bucks, but I've used this in a whole lot of videos, and if you watch any of the other videos on my channel, you'll probably see this at least in half of them. Right, and here it is all finished with the heating. You can see it conforms pretty well. You say a little bit big for this, but I left some space just so it actually fit my face. And next, not so much using this mannequin head for a guideline. I'm not really going to do that. I'm going to actually heat and form and stretch this by hand to have the look that I want. Alright, here you can see I've got my pieces, and I just kind of worked some shape into them in the way that I wanted. There's kind of some folds and curves down the center here to give it a little bit more depth. And the first thing I'm going to glue on is this centerpiece. Much like the way I heated it, I started from the center and worked my way out. I'm also going to start gluing from the center and then working my way out. And for the center, I'm going to use some Gorilla Super Glue. It has a nice, stiff, harsh bond that should help keep this nose curvature in place, I'm hoping. Alright, to attach the accent pieces, I'm going to be using some contact cement. Alright, I have all the pieces glued on here. I feel like it looks pretty good so far. So next, I'm going to move on to sealing this and then painting it. Alright, I went ahead and sealed this. And to seal it, I just used some plasti. I just happen to have some left in this can. I've been sitting around forever and just waiting for the small project that I was going to have coming up that was going to be just right for it. And this is it. Alright, this has had a couple hours to dry. And just inspecting it before I start painting it, I noticed that the center section here at the bridge of the nose was a little flimsy. So I took a 2mm piece of EVA foam and I heated it up to the point that it shrunk down pretty good. And also stiffened up a little bit. I just put it in there with some super glue. And I made sure whenever I glued it together that I held the shape of the mask so that it didn't flatten out, but held that curve, because that's what I want it there for. And next, I'm going to start airbrushing this black. And what I'm going to be using for that is some 40-30 polyurethane mix additive. I'm going to be mixing that with some opaque black, and then I'm going to be thinning that out. Alright, it's had plenty of time to dry, and I'm happy with the way it looks and how it turned out. I think it looks pretty good. And next what I'm going to do is attach an elastic band so I can put this on and try it out. Now this is meant to have black makeup applied around the eyes. I'm going to say there's about a 95% chance I'm not going to put black makeup around my eyes to try this on. Sorry guys, I'm just not. But that is something I would recommend, that way it blends in more. I did this so I could actually see and have, like the use of my peripheral vision. If I would cosplay as Nightwing, I probably would black out the area around my eyes with makeup, but I don't see that happening today for this video. Sorry. Alright, for the elastic, I'm just going to use some super glue, and I'm just going to take it and dab a little bit on there, and I have my elastic here. I pretty much just guesstimated. I stretched it around from one side of the mask to the other and pretty much just guessed the actual length of it. I'm just going to go ahead and press this on here to attach it. Alright, so here is both of them side by side. This is the Jason Todd Robin, finished with the strap, and here is the Nightwing, Dick Grayson Nightwing. Now all that's left is for me to try them on. Alright, first here's the Jason Todd Robin. I feel like it came out pretty good. It fits my face rather well, although it's pretty simple. So when it's more simple like this, it's much easier to get it to conform to your features than something more complicated like the Nightwing. So let's try that on and see how that looks. Alright, and here's Nightwing. I feel like this one came out pretty good too. Pretty happy with the way that it looks. Feels pretty good. So yeah, hopefully this video helped give you guys some ideas and helped you out. And thank you for requesting me to make this and giving me something to do. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.